Harrison Bennett asks, what is the best example of a terrible acting performance in a great movie?
All right, this is a little bit cheating because we talked about it beforehand, but it was the one I was going to say. It is Cameron Diaz, who I enjoy. I like Cameron Diaz. But Cameron Diaz in the Martin Scorsese film, I was going to say Hoods of New York. In Gangs of New York, where especially... that one was partly to blame, though, on miscasting. That wasn't the right role for her. And it just kind of became accentuated by the fact that she was acting along Leo DiCaprio, one of the best actors today, and Daniel Day-Lewis, who you could make an argument might be the greatest actor of all time. So you threw her in there into those deep waters in a role that wasn't really right for her in the first place. So there was that. I will also say Chris Tucker in Fifth
Element.
Fifth Element, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Chris Tucker,
Yeah, like that.
It's a great movie, and I get the character that they were going for, but I thought it was poorly done.
I agree.
Oh, I love him in that movie.
I agree so much. He ruins that movie for me. Honestly, when he shows up, it's like he's in such a different film. I like his performance. If you just cut that into like Spaceballs, just throw that into some comedy film.
Oh, okay.
Shep, what about you?
Oh, I was going to say Christoph Waltz in Big Eyes. Now, Big Eyes was an okay film, wasn't a great film, but his like comedic, like overacting ruined the film for me and made me dislike it because I was all on board with Amy Adams.
Yeah.
With her with the way she portrayed her performance, but then once Christoph Waltz, he was overacting, and the guy's won 2 Oscars. He's great in all of his other films. This one, he brought what he normally brings, but in this other way that disrupted the narrative flow, at least for me, and took me out of the film every time he was in. I was like, what is it? Why is he acting like a cartoon character? So that's one for me.
Christian?
I got 2. One is Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, good one. Good one.
I love Keanu Reeves. He's a likable bad actor, but he had no business being in that co-film at all. Like,
dude, I'm in Romania, Transylvania.
His hair just turns gray out of no reason. The other one is Shyamalan in Lady in the Water. Get out of there. What are you doing in your movie?
But that's a bad movie.
Not Lady.
That's a bad movie to start.
You mean Signs?
Not Signs.
You're talking Signs.
Not Lady in the Water.
Right.
Signs.
I was about to say, what?
Are you saying Lady in the Water?
I forget.
No,
because I forget that he's in
Secret
and everything. No,
special
Signs.
meeting. We need to call a meeting.
Exactly. No, Signs is a movie that
Christian Harloff, you've been called before the tribunal.
I know. I just heard the internet just scream at me once. But no, in Signs, because when I saw Signs the first time, I didn't love the movie, and then I watched it again, and it's a movie that I appreciate more and more. But I can never get past him. It's just you can see that arrogance starting to build in him.
He's in that truck, and he's like, "Just you got to take everyone to the water." You're like, "What the?" You know?
Yeah.
So,
not Lady in the Water.
What's next?
Christopher Michael writes, do you guys think The Conjuring 2 will be as successful as the first film?
No, I don't think it'll be as successful, but the first one was so successful, especially relative to how much effort it took them to make it, that I don't think it needs to be as successful to still be a success. So I don't think they'll necessarily recapture that lightning in the bottle that the first one did, but they don't have to, and I think they know that. So I think it will be successful. I just don't necessarily think as successful. I won't be surprised if it is. What do you think?
I think financially it will be.
You think so? Okay.
Financially, but I don't think quality-wise, because I am not a horror guy, and I loved the
Conjuring's really good.
I loved that film. I think I even gave it a 5 out of 5 schmoes when I saw it. I loved that movie because it didn't have the problems that most horror films do to me. It wasn't predictable. It didn't rely on just gore and slash film. It didn't rely on any of that stuff. It relied on a true story and the what ifs.
Totally.
And if they do that again, if they can do that, because these stories were real,
right?
And I want to see the Hayes brothers who wrote this. I don't know if they returned to write it, because they did so much research and so much the way that the amount of effort and time they put into this. I'm curious if they're writing again. So I think that it'll do money wise. Yes.
What about, is James Wan directing this?
Yeah.
Then I'm 100%. I think it'll make more money. They can't do this.
No, it's so good.
I mean, but that movie, I loved that film, and I'm a giant horror fan, and that movie scared the out of me. I'm telling you, it was like
chills.
Yeah, I got chills. It was like, especially the end with the chair, and I'm like, what's going on? You know, it was so much fun to get scared like really scared in a movie theater again, because I've seen so many bad horror films where you're like, you're just like, when is this going to end? It's garbage. Predictable,
Yeah.
and just, and then you see this film and it's so much fun, great cast, amazing story, spinning around. If they could recapture that with The Conjuring 2, then everyone who went and saw, I went and saw the movie 3 times in the theater. I was like, I love that film. If they capture that again, it's going to break the box office, at least beat its original one.
All right, so James Wan is returning to direct, and the Hayes are writing.
Oh, that's great.
They are
So
writing.
great.
All right, what's next?
And if James Wan is coming back to the genre after stepping away, I know he wanted to try other things like Furious 7. If he's coming back to the genre, there has to be something promising about this script, and I think that we're going to get a trailer tomorrow of The Conjuring 2, so I guess we'll be able to see more. All right, next question comes
Actually
from...
dropping some knowledge.
All right, Christopher Woodburn writes, your guys' pick for breakout star of 2016.
Alicia Vikander from Ex Machina and from Danish Girl.
But the 2016.
2016?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. I gotta see.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Have to see some films
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
Let's switch it to
consult
15.
our future,
Switch it to
whatever.
15.
That's right, 15.
Daisy, 15, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, Daisy Ridley for sure.
Bless you.
Woo, thank you.
All right, Schnepp, I know you'll like this one. Brad Hadler writes, with the release of The Forest, do you think we will see more horror movies based on real supernatural locations?
Yeah, like I mentioned yesterday, the trees. And then I was hoping maybe Shyamalan will handle the wind.
He already has.
That's right. I know the call to happening. So yeah, based on why not have some more natural? The Arctic or whatever. Snow. Just call a movie Snow. Why not?
Walking.
Walking.
The old Carlin bit. I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. All right, what's
All
next?
right, Jonathan Peck writes, any updates on the Tintin sequel?
This question's been around a long time. You know that first Tintin?
Loved it.
I thought it was a dumb idea, to be honest with you. And come on, it doesn't
the
sound
idea.
like it. Yeah,
Okay,
it was a
okay.
dumb idea, but
Okay.
it works. It's
Yeah.
it's a nice little film. The problem is you're talking about Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg
And Andy Serkis.
and Andy Serkis. But I mean, you're talking about two of the big giants. I mean, one of the all-time giants and one of the giants today, working together and trying to get their schedules lined up because they wanted to hopscotch back and forth.
Right.
This movie, you produce and I'll direct, and the next one I'll produce and you direct, and they were supposed to do all this. And Tintin, while it did pretty good, was not like I think the smash success that they thought. I don't know why they thought this, but they thought just because you had Peter Jackson's name and Steven Spielberg's name, everybody would rush to see it. There'd be a big nostalgia factor. It's like, no, maybe nostalgia for my grandparents, but it wasn't just nostalgia for me and anything. So I think they wanted to do it. I think they keep saying they're planning on doing it, but as they keep saying they're planning on doing it, every other week we're hearing about Steven Spielberg's next project, and none of them have the words Tintin in it. So I have heard no update. I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think that's unfortunate. But let's see. But if I had to take a guess in the dark, take a stab in the dark, I'm going to say it's not going to happen. What do you think?
I hate to agree with you on it, but I'm going to agree with you on it. I loved the first Tintin. I thought it was super underrated. And the original plan was actually Spielberg does the first, Jackson does the second, Andy Serkis directs the third.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was the plan. And another reason why I don't think, because it's taken too long, Andy Serkis is becoming very, very busy. As you know, Jackson and Spielberg obviously are as well, but then you've got the Apes franchise, Star Wars, the Jungle Book. You got all this stuff that he's doing over the next couple of years. It's going to be
Serkis directing his own film, Steel Skin.
yeah. There's so many.
And Jungle Book.
And Jungle.
It's going to be hard to lock him down. So I don't think it's going to happen, and I would have loved to, because I actually went. I think I saw Tintin the first time in the theater like 3 times, because that movie
Yeah,
really.
I didn't even go to see it in theaters. That's how much I thought it was a
Same
bad
here.
idea. And then I watched it afterwards. I'm like, hey, this is pretty damn good.
I
loved it in
gotta
the theaters.
disagree with you guys. I didn't like it. I
Wow.
thought it was just okay, and the reason is like it's in that I think the character designs were cool. They were semi-realistic but still animated. But I felt it was so frenetic and strangely put together. It didn't feel like to me. It didn't really feel like it was directed. It felt like a committee put it together. That's what it felt like to me. And I know it says Spielberg directed it, but it feels like it was thrown to a storyboard team. And there's certain ways that animated films come together sometimes. To me, it just didn't have that heart to it. I never felt emotionally engaged.
See, because I felt that's interesting you say that, because I remember there's a scene at the very end with Tintin when he kind of jumps on this boat, and it to me felt very Last Crusade to me. I didn't feel Spielberg's stamp on Bridge of Spies the way that I felt the stamp on it on Tintin.
And just in case we've confused some of you, mentioning, yes, Jon Favreau is directing the upcoming Disney Jungle Book. There is another version of a Jungle Book coming out, and that is being directed by Andy Serkis.
But I do think that they will eventually do sequels, but I just don't think Spielberg or Jackson or Serkis will be directing them.
Right.
Why do I think that? Because they've already built all the characters. They've built that world. So if it goes straight to video, they could still finish those 2 other films. It just might not have the, the budget that the first one did. But I think eventually they'll do it.
All right, what's next?
Yankee Doodle Dandy, right? Please explain how movie theaters and movie studios divide up the profits.
Okay, it's. I would have to break out an Albert Einstein quantum theory kind of chalkboard. Look, the simple answer is this: it's different for almost every movie. Studios will negotiate rates with the exhibitors, different ways at different times. If you want a general rule of thumb, though, like just general, and every movie, like I said, will be unique. General rule of thumb, here's basically what it is. At the end of the day, the theaters keep about 30% and the studios get back about 70%. That's your rough rule of thumb. Now, it's a sliding scale, though. Like in the first week of release, the studio gets this and the theaters get this. In the second week of release, the theaters will get a little bit more, the studio get a little bit less. In the third, fourth, fifth, and as the scale goes on, the longer a film is in a theater, the theaters get to keep a higher percentage of the money. But so if you want to just say a basic rule of thumb, when it's all said and done, roughly, it works out to be about 30%. How would you guys explain it?
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, theaters have always made their money with concessions. That's where they make that flavory dough, and so that it always pays off. As long as you have a hit film, you have people, they're getting that popcorn, everybody wins.
Yeah, a movie theater owner once famously said about 5 years ago, he came out and said in this thing on CNN, he said, "Look, these are movie theaters owners. We're not actually in the movie business. We're in the candy business,"
right.
Which is really true because that's really where all their money comes from. So when you walk in, if you're wondering why it costs $6 to buy a big thing of Coke, is because this multi-million-dollar facility you're in with all the stuff going on, what is paying for it is not really that ticket you bought. What's paying for that stuff is the popcorn you're buying, is the soda you're buying. So it's that's why you see that happening.
I'd love to see what the concession sales were for some theaters with Star Wars.
I was going to say Star Wars. Their deal with Star Wars is, from what I read, is the Disney got 90% and the theater got 10 for the first week. And
Phantom Menace theaters got nothing. Wow. That's the deal Lucasfilm worked out at the time. That theaters got nothing of the ticket purchase
and
price.
they were like, please give us the film because concession.
It packed out the theaters. Yeah.
Right. I know. I mean, because popcorn and soda, that's like really cheap to make. They make their money, so you can't get mad. I remember people would get mad. Why are they why am I spending so much money on popcorn? Because that's how the theaters stay in business. So that's one of those things.
All right, last question of the day.
All right, Julianne Selesny writes, who is your favorite non-native English-speaking actor/actress?
Say that again.
Roberto Benigni.
Non-native English-speaking actor/actress.
Non-native
English second language.
Yes,
second language.
Mads
Mikkelsen.
Mads is great.
Mads is my favorite.
Christoph Waltz is great. I go back to Roberto Benigni is another great one.
Marion Cotillard.
Marion Cotillard's very good. I don't know if I put her on the same level as Christoph Waltz.
I do.
Actually, there's no
both Oscar winners.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.